What's up, everybody? Dave P here, coming to you with a new background. I don't know if you noticed, but in my previous videos, the pictures weren't hanging up. We just moved into a new spot. We got Muhammad Ali behind us here today, and he's one of the greatest fighters who ever lived. And today we're talking about fighting to become the best version of ourselves. And this is what we do every single day on this channel. We talk a lot about real estate, but we talk a lot about personal development because it goes hand in hand. And when you work on yourself, when you build yourself up, right, when you are constantly becoming the best version of yourself, you're going to see this reflect in your business, your real estate investing business, or any business. You're going to see it show up in your relationships and, of course, your health. It's all tied together. And today, what we're talking about is building up our self-worth. And I believe many of us, all of us for the most part, are born into a world where we are told consciously or subconsciously that we're not enough, right? That we can't think for ourselves. I think it's indoctrined into us. And I don't blame the teachers, I don't blame our parents, I don't blame our grandparents, I don't blame them. I think this goes all the way back to the powers that be when there was pharaohs and lords of the land ruling over us. They didn't want people stepping up. They didn't want people thinking for themselves. They wanted to keep all that sacred knowledge to themselves, right? You had spiritual masters who roamed the earth and tried to help us wake up, help us become born again, help us realize our power, help us realize our true power. But I think that's what it means to become born again. You got to kind of do the work on yourself. And once you do, this is what we're doing here. You're going to see every aspect of your life change. But many of us are not born knowing this stuff. And we're born actually with somewhat of a low self-esteem. Now, when you take that low self-esteem that you're born into, and then you find yourself reaching for external things like drugs and alcohol, and you're filling that void because you don't love yourself, you're not feeling whole, right? You feel empty because you don't feel worthy. Well, once you fill that void with external substances like drugs, alcohol, meaningless sex, bad habits and vices, things that cause you shame and regret, you could find yourself on a hamster wheel of just shame for your whole life, and your life can slip right past you, and you're going to feel so much shame, pain, and regret, and you're going to get to the end of your life and just be like, man, was this it? Was this supposed to be this way? It's not, everybody. What we need to do is wake up. And what we're going to do to wake up is work on our self-worth and to feel worthy. Feel and know what you deserve. You deserve abundance. You do deserve love. You are loved. Believe me. And the topic of this video kind of came up because I was watching an interview. Joe Rogan was interviewing the guy who created the YouTube channel Soft White Underbelly. If you're not familiar with Soft White Underbelly, I highly encourage you to check it out. You'll find yourself down the rabbit hole like I did, I promise you. But this guy, his name's Mark, Laita is his last name. I don't know how to say it. Laita, maybe? Mark Laita is the creator of this Soft White Underbelly channel. And he interviews people who live right there on Skid Row in Los Angeles, California. This is, one of the roughest places in the world for drug addicts and pimps and prostitutes and pedophiles. And just he interviews these people. He interviews them and sits them down for an hour-long plus interview, and they tell their life story. And when Joe Rogan was interviewing the creator of the YouTube channel, Mark Laita, Joe Rogan asked him, what was the common characteristic or what was the common trait that you saw with all these people that you interview? And he's like, just the lack of self-worth. It is the lack of self-worth. They are raised in abuse. There's so many traumatic stories. It's horrific stories. But these people don't believe they're worth anything more than living in a cardboard box on the road, right? They don't believe in themselves, right? So what are we going to do? Maybe you're not living on Skid Row. Neither am I. Let's keep it real. However, there is always room to build ourselves back up. And I truly do believe that we are born into this world where we're taught that we're not enough. If you add traumatic experiences and abuse, like many of these people on that YouTube channel, I mean, it just leads to a life of a sad life, a very sad life. So what do we need to do to build up our self-worth and build up our self-esteem? Everybody, I'm here to let you know, all of your self-worth right, is going to come from action. We can't positive think our way into a new life. I'm all about positive thinking, but it is the action that creates change. Okay? We can't think our way into positive action, right? We need to act our way into positive thinking. We need to take imperfect action in the right direction. If we fail, we got to fail forward, but it is about moving. And what prevents people from taking action and moving? Many times, fear. It's fear, right? And that's the ego. We don't fear failure. Many people don't care about loss. They know they can make it back, losing money, losing, it's not so much the fear of loss, it's the fear of looking dumb in front of other people. That's the biggest fear. Nobody wants to look dumb. That is the ego. The ego, the sole responsibility of the ego is to make you look good or just like protect itself from looking dumb. So the fear prevents us from taking action, but it's the action that's going to absolutely create the positive change and create the positive results in our life. So what we need to do is begin with action. This is your thing too. And I'm here to tell you, I'm here to support you and coach you and be your buddy, and we can be friends online, this and that. You're on your path, I'm on my path. You got to do this for yourself, and I'm going to do this for myself, and we got to keep doing this. We can hold each other accountable and be friends on our own journey, but you can't rely on anybody else to make this positive change for you. It is completely your journey, and my life is completely my responsibility as well. So what we need to do is start taking action. Well, what are you going to take action? Start smaller than bigger. Many of us create these massive goals, or they create this, okay, I quit drinking, I quit using, or I'm ready to change my life. And they make this insane to-do list. Oh, I'm going to, sign up for this group, and I'm going to study and read this much every single day. I'm going to run 10 miles every day. I'm going to completely change my diet. And it's like, how often does that really work? It does. Come on. We're so ambitious, right? We want change. And you know what that is? It's the expectation of I want it now. It's that instant gratification. I'm going to do all of this work right now as much as I can, as fast as I can, because I want the results now, right? It never lasts. What we need to do is focus on consistency over volume. It's not how much we do, it's how consistent we do. Right? The things that we are committing to do. But that's the key word, is commit. We need to start with making commitments to ourselves, but by God, we have to fulfill commitments to ourselves. And I want you to start small. It could start with, I'm never going to walk past the sink without putting the dishes away. I'm talking chores here, everybody. We're talking about changing our lives, but let's keep it real. I'm never going to leave trash in my car again. And you become this person. You make these small commitments to yourself, right? I'm never going to leave trash in my car. I'm going to do 10 push-ups a day. You got to find something that works for you. I suggest creating these small tasks in your environment, a nice clean environment. Become just a little bit cleaner. We all got room for improvement. I don't care if you're Mr. Clean and Mrs. Spick and Span over there, Hey, let's be a little more organized. Let's set some goals or set some daily commitments about our physical environment of where we live, and keep ourselves just a little bit more organized. Cleanliness is next to godliness, right? And work on our personal hygiene as well, right? Just improve a little bit. We're talking about making these daily commitments. I'm always going to do this. Right? I'm coming to you on a Saturday. I'm not the most clean shaven today, but maybe if it's not one of my commitments. But if my commitment was I'm going to shave every single day, I got to do that every single day. So what's going to happen is when you set these small commitments, you are going to become a person who keeps their word to themselves. And when you start to fulfill your commitment, you start to trust yourself, then you start to like yourself, then you start to love yourself. And you can build upon these small commitments that you're making. But this is the name of the game. You have to take the action, which is the commitment, and fulfill that commitment with action, and then you can grow. And actually, then you could start building up onto these commitments, and make it harder, and maybe if you start out by doing 5 push-ups a day, then you start doing 10 burpees a day. Next thing you know, you're doing 100 burpees a day, 200, 500, right? And you're pushing yourself and you're creating that adversity. Remember, and I've talked about this in previous videos, we've got to create adversity, positive adversity, self-inflicted adversity into our life, because that is how we grow, is by overcoming challenges and overcoming adversity. And when we overcome these things, that's going to build confidence. That's real confidence. That's real self-worth, right? When you keep these commitments to yourself and you take this action, you are building upon this. And then when you make it harder, the more adversity you overcome on a day-to-day basis, the better. One thing I'm going to suggest, as I already suggested, I do suggest the cleanliness thing. I suggest the organization, just small things. Another thing I'm going to suggest is that you wake up uncomfortably early, just a little bit earlier. Make it uncomfortable, because what's going to happen when you fulfill that first commitment, before your feet hit the ground, when you are up, no hitting the snooze button, but you get out of bed uncomfortably early, that is self-inflicted adversity, right? Yes, there's ancillary benefits. You're going to have more time, and that's great. But you are going to be on fire. You're going to be proud of yourself for starting to wake up earlier and earlier. It really does work, but it's going to build natural confidence. So what we need to do, everybody, is start creating commitments to ourselves. Keep your word to yourself. If you can't keep your word to yourself, you can't keep your word to anybody. Ain't that the truth? Start small. Let's build upon it. Create the self-inflicted adversity into our wake up, into our workouts, into our diet. Maybe our commitment is, I'm just going to start eating a little bit better. Maybe our daily commitment is, I'm going to do a small workout and then build upon that. Wake up earlier and build upon that. Wake up a little more early. But creating and overcoming this adversity is going to build real confidence, real self-worth, and you are definitely in alignment with your higher self. You are moving in the right direction. That's going to keep you busy too, right? When you constantly are flooding your brain with feelings of, I'm proud of myself, that doesn't leave a lot of room for regret, shame, despair. We all can find 100 things that we regret in our lives. We all can find 100 things that we wish we wouldn't have done. I got it. Come on. But if we carry that with us, we must heal from that. The way we're going to heal from it is doing exactly what I'm saying, is start to fill our brain and be proud of ourselves and build that self-worth. But then also look at the things that you normally would potentially be shameful or regretful about from your past, and begin to look at that as a blessing and say, you know what, if that wouldn't have happened to me, I wouldn't be the person I am here today. That's true healing right there. When you can look at things that you previously would have been shameful about, regret, losses. I've taken more L's in the real estate business than anyone I know. I promise you, more videos to come on that. I've been through audits, I've been through bankruptcies, and I've been through foreclosures. The trifecta. I mean, what else do you want? And I'm not talking about small sums of money. I'm talking about over tens of millions of dollars in debt and foreclosures. And I had to fight through it. I had to get through it all. And that, thank God I was sober throughout this experience. But if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be the absolute beast I am at real estate right now. That's positive self-talk right there, right? You may be watching this saying, oh, that's an ego statement. It ain't an ego statement. That shit was earned. It was earned, everybody. And that's a good way to talk to yourself. Positive self-talk in the face of adversity is absolutely essential. But all of our self-worth and confidence will be built from overcoming adversity and challenges, right? Because then you're going to be proud of yourself and keeping those commitments to yourself through action. We're not just going to sit around and think and journal, right? I am a fan of journaling, but I'm a fan of journaling on where you need to improve. Meaning, instead of writing down 100 things we're grateful for, that gets flimsy and drifty quick. I'm grateful for the sun. I'm grateful for the dog. I'm grateful for that. Of course you are. My kids, this and that. Now, where do I need to get better? Start doing that self-reflection, right? And that's going to start showing up in your life in different ways as well. So everybody, let's work on our self-worth and our self-confidence through taking action. I love you all. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you all on the next video.